and this huge black shadow came out of my room, shot up into the light in the hallway, and the light exploded.
This is the Creator Podcast with Gus and Jeff. I'm Gus.
And I'm Jeff.
There he is. And we have a special guest today, Carley Cooper. Is there any relation to Bradley Cooper? Had to ask.
No.
All right.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
You do have some relation to celebrityism, so you do like special makeup effects for like big Hollywood stuff. So, is that basically the title that you give yourself? Is that an acceptable title? Am I missing something?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I work for a shop that does practical special makeup effects as well as specialty costuming and sometimes specialty props.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, I checked out your Instagram, and I really liked all the different things. It just seems like, it could be something random from doing a body cast to work on a really cool creature, and all that kind of stuff. I just think is amazing and so interesting.
Yeah, it is cool. I mean, I'm fortunate. I get to work on a lot of different things and a lot of different projects. I get to work with a lot of different people and a lot of different mediums. But the downside of it is I really don't have any time to like do my own personal stuff. So I'm kind of like a sellout of an artist.
Well, we all got to do something to get from point A to point B.
Right.
So are you over 50 hours a week? Like how many hours do you think you put into it?
I mean, honestly, it depends. There are some weeks where it's just like standard 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. But then I've had weeks where I've done like 70, 80 hours.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Is that like crunch time on like a movie or something where there's big deadlines?
Yeah, sometimes it's deadlines. Sometimes I'm on set and you're there, 16 hours a day sometimes. So.
Oh, you're always needed. Like you can't leave because, if something messes up or
no,
goes
you
awry.
cannot leave. And sometimes on certain productions, people are so reluctant to cut people, even when their shots are finished and they've moved on to a new setup. And then you're literally just stuck sitting there for who knows how long until they wrap. And I mean, it's great, you get paid for it, but it's boring and you can't be on your phone. So it's you got to bring stuff to occupy you if you can.
Like what about can you bring like a sketchbook and do some? I know Gus would recommend that. He's always telling
totally.
me to
Yeah,
sketch.
I'll do that. I'll bring books. Sometimes if I have to do like update things on resume or like whatever, like I can try and do some busy work, but yeah, it's mostly just kind of like making it look like you're there but out of the way, not on your phone.
Right. Now, when you make pieces, are you like you're saying you have to be on set? Are you basically in charge? Like if you make a prop, if something goes wrong, like everybody's yelling at you to fix it, kind of thing?
So when I get to go to set, I'm non-union, which means that I can't touch anybody's face or body. But when I go to set, I'll bring like a body with me and I'll be in charge of taking care of that body, or like a insert piece, where they do like a close-up of a shot, or, where they need a fake head that they can like smash or blow up and, put it in whatever area. And typically I get to go with pieces that I have made, but sometimes you have to go with pieces that other people have made. And yes, because you're the one there, if anything goes wrong, everything's your fault. And you just have to, it sucks. But it's fun. And the thing is like, you have to be able to anticipate for every problem. And you kind of have, like your, what we call an oh shit kit, where it's literally, like MacGyver could whittle together a fake heart if he really needed to out of all the crap that I've got in this kit. But it also has to be quick because they don't like waiting.
Right.
Yeah, it's like do nothing, now do everything really fast. Is that kind of thing?
Yeah, and then they'll also like they'll pay for something and order something, and there'll be all these production meetings about like what they want, what's going on, what they need. you show up to set and in your mind you're like, I nailed this. This does exactly what they asked to do. I got it. And it's like a pizza delivery guy showing up with like the pizza, like best pizza ever. And someone answers the door and it's like, well, why isn't this tacos? And you're like, I mean, I could fold it in half and make it look like a taco, but it's not going to taste like a taco. Is that going to work? Like, so
That's a
that
pretty
gets
good
stressful.
analogy. Yeah.
Crazy days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you do quite a bit. I guess like I mean, just judging by like your Instagram, and I peeped at your IMDb, but it didn't seem to have much things of substance. And then I guess there's a couple different versions of you out there. But from the stuff I can see, like you do seem to do like a lot of like head casting, like of like different celebrities and stuff.
Yeah. So at the shop that I'm at currently, it's called Fractured Effects, and I am in charge of the life casting department there, which basically means anytime any talent comes in, we will take an exact copy, we'll make a mold off of that person that then we can work with to build makeups, to make fake versions of them, to build suits, to do old age stuff or creatures, whatever. So they'll come in, and I like to say it's like a monster spa where you're getting kind of like a nice wrap, and we try to do everything very relaxing. My background, I went to cosmetology school when I was younger. I grew up in Virginia, and there isn't a lot of opportunity for this stuff. So my family was not super supportive, and like the one route that I could go that was deemed, some kind of job that I would be able to have was doing more cosmetology. So when I'm doing my life casts, I try to approach it where they're coming to a spa and it's a relaxing, fun treatment. It's not like something scary, because I do get people that come in and they've had a terrible experience before, or they're like so freaked out because they think we're going to stick straws up their nose or something like that. And it's never like that. And I've been really fortunate that like I usually have a really great team. I'd say I always have a really great team, and that I'm able to, anytime somebody starts to have a little bit of a moment of maybe claustrophobia, or they just get a little tense, because it is taxing. It's also physically exhausting when we're doing full bodies. I'm usually able to talk somebody through it, or, calm them down enough so that we can finish and then get out of it. And everybody's fine. I haven't had any issues with anybody freaking out or passing out on me, which that is something that does happen. But I feel like if you're aware and if you have like a good rapport with the person, like I like to tell people, it's like a lot of people hate the dentist and they're afraid to go to the dentist. And then, maybe one time they go to a dentist who is so nice and so cool. And yes, it's not the most fun process, but that dentist made it awesome. And it's not as painful and as terrible when you go see them. So now you're not so afraid of the dentist anymore.
Yeah, the dentist could be rough.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I've heard some different horror stories. I've heard like some other people have done casting or dealing with props with certain celebrities, and certain celebrities were not cool and they were jerks the whole time and making it just a difficult process. So I'm guessing you've had all kinds of experiences like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some, and I will say I have never had an experience where I felt like the person that I was working with, as far as like A-list celebrities go, where they were rude, or, like they were being like mean or anything like that. What I have had is people come in and, they took a role on a movie or, any project, and they're not excited about the part of having to get life cast. They're not excited about the fact that they're going to have to be put in and out of these makeups all day. And I have had the experience where people come in and they are very explicit with that, which I appreciate so much, because I now know where their head is at. And for me at that point, it's all business. I'm getting you in and out. We're going as quick as possible. Like, this is going to be quick and easy. I'm not going to make jokes. We're not, it's not going to be like that this time. So in those instances, when they've come out of it, I've actually been, told and thanked like immensely
Oh, wow.
for making that as easy as possible. And I've even been apologized to for them being like, I'm sorry I came in with that attitude. And it's like, dude, I get it. It was not an attitude. If I were you, I get it. Like you're a big name celebrity. People probably have, expectations when you come in, and you maybe treat you a certain kind of way. And for me, it's just anybody is anybody. Whenever they come in, if they're in a good mood, great. If they're in a bad mood, also great. Just let me know.
Yeah, it's kind of something. Gus and I have always kind of had that philosophy that, you hit a certain point in your life when you realize that celebrities are all just real people too. And
Yeah.
not even celebrities, but anybody higher up than you, even like your bosses, their bosses,
Right.
Everybody is just a human. Everybody
Mhm.
has emotions and everything like that. Because I was wondering if people were coming in like fearful of what it is, but also like, I mean, it's your job to, do the makeup with them, but it's also their job to sit there and get makeup on them. Like they're getting
Mhm.
paid to get makeup put on them. So why would they want to make your job worse and then complain the whole time? It just seems like it's like if I'm in the grocery store and the person in front of me has a coupon that's like not going through or something, and if they're yelling and screaming at the cashier, I'm like, what are you doing? Like that's it's but I could go down that road, but
Well, sure. Yeah, and I feel like the only time where I've had somebody just be a complete and total jerk, there have been two instances, and they were literally like in the realm of, actors, basically nobodies. And it was like they had just gotten this like small role, and it went so far to their head, and they treated everybody around them like snapping their fingers, and they were like total divas. But I've never experienced that with anybody who I would be like, oh, I understand why that person would be a diva, or yes, that person gets to be a diva, look who it is. But I've never dealt with that.
Right. It kind of shows that, and that, I don't fully know this, but it seems like a personality is also what causes success almost in anything you're doing.
Oh
If
yeah.
you're just difficult dealing with on a small level, you're not going to make it to the next level. And
No.
and then when you make it to the high levels, it's like you put so much work in. You're usually not going to screw it all up. Was that a doggy?
Yes, that was my dog.
Oh,
He's in the
cool.
other room.
Oh, give him a high five for me later. I like to high five dogs.
He's really good at high fives, and he can play rock, paper, scissors, and he like knows all these crazy tricks. But he
Wow.
only throws rock and paper, so
Yeah.
oh yeah,
yeah.
that's usually
Would
maybe.
you, if you knew your next life, you come back as a dog, would you be like excited for it, or would you be like, how would you feel about that?
I feel like it depends on who my owner is.
Yeah, well, that's a huge part. That's kind of
Yeah,
like the
because I
whole.
think it would be chill, but at the same time, I think I'm a good owner. Like I love my dog. I take care of him. He's my baby. I got him certified as a therapy dog to get around breed restrictions because he's a pit bull. I don't need a therapy dog, but like I can rent places without having to deal with breed restrictions because of that. But even still, I feel awful that he's like at home by himself a lot of the time, like when I'm working, or like I've got roommates, and he has a yard and everything, but still I would imagine that's probably a pretty boring life.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, I kind of like alone time, and I know there's a decent amount of people that do, right? Like, you just kind of like, yeah, I get to have my me time. Hope maybe he's like that. Maybe he's like, yeah, it's cool. She's doing her thing. I'm just gonna do. This is me time.
I
I
hope
mean,
so. I hope that's what
yeah,
he's thinking.
I
Well,
know
you
they
could also,
say. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I
Yeah.
was gonna say you could also come back as like a dog, as like a a stray dog in Jamaica or something. You don't even have to be owned. Like you could be doing your own thing whenever you want. Like
Just out on the streets, just wild dogging it up.
yeah, just
Yep.
eating trash,
Dog.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Street
Or like
dog.
those dogs in Russia that figured out the subway system and also like beg in packs. And they put the cutest dog forward to beg for food in touristy areas, and then they all get stuff.
See, that's interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting that they know what a cute dog looks like, and they probably are right.
Yes.
So isn't
Well,
that's a strange thing though about life? Like I think about this all the time where there's something we consider attractive or appealing or cool, and then
Hmm.
there's these other things that are just like no, sucks, crap, boring. Like,
Yeah.
but it's kind of across the board. If a dog could think of the same thing, that's, well, I don't know what that is, but I know it's something.
I think that's probably just Darwinism. I think like all the aggressive dogs got punched or shot, and then the only ones left are the cute ones, and then process of elimination, you got cute dogs, and those are the ones that survive.
Sure, yeah.
I don't
That's
agree.
just one
I don't
theory.
agree with that,
That's
Joe.
one theory.
Yeah.
I personally
I mean,
think all dogs are adorable, and sometimes I think the uglier an animal, the cuter it is.
right. That's true, and I hope there's some people that think that about people, or something thinks that about.
Somebody
Yeah.
likes all the ugly ones. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. Well, they're just like, oh my god, all those people are adorable. Like, they're just so great. It's just being one. You're kind of thrown into those categories and levels. It seems.
I think dogs think that. Dogs love all people for the most part. Like even if like they have owners that beat them and stuff, they still come back and they're like, "Oh, I love you."
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it
That's what
wouldn't
it
be fun
is.
to be a
That's
dog.
that's the equal.
Yeah.
Right. It might be terrible. Well, I had a point. No, I had a point though. So it's like we look at these like creatures in movies, and to me, if you would have had like different creatures, like a terrible designer design all the creatures for Star Wars, I think the movie would not have been anything. Like no one would have even thought of it. So I think they had the right designs going into it, and I think the same thing happens for like new shows that come out. If the designs are right, and they don't even know if it's right or not, they're like, this is my thing. You know what I mean? Have you ever been a part of something where you're doing it and you're working on it and you're just like, this is not gonna do anything. These designs are just not it.
You know, I wouldn't say that I've been so much like there have been times where I've worked on things and I'm just like, oh man. But then it shows up and I'm always kind of amazed by other people's opinions of some of, the things that like I look at and see every day. And then I also like sometimes like the quality, like we've got bodies that we make that are easily like the full cost of it can be easily 6 figures for the different things that they can do, like if they need to breathe, if they need to be surgically correct, if they need to have blood tubing, if they need to move, like all this stuff.
Wow.
And then we also do some like much cheaper, just a few $1,000 bodies or background stuff. And a lot of times when we have to like cut corners and do cheap stuff like that, I'm just kind of like, oh geez. And then like if I go on set, people are like, wow, it looks so real. That's amazing. And I'm just like, oh man, if you could see some of the like stuff that we actually like, the nice stuff, you would know what to do with yourself. So but I feel like I've been I think a prime example of like a design thing, and this also is partially maybe because of the times, but the original Swamp Thing, I love that movie. The original suit is basically just a green scuba suit with a couple like latex vines stuck on there. And
Right. Yeah. I don't remember it being impressive to me as a kid.
No.
I remember it being kind of. I remember liking it. I don't know. I have to see it again, but in my head, I remember it being kind of different and cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was weird. It's weird. And then the second one, in the sequel, they kind of revamped the suit and it got better, but still, in my opinion, it was really campy. I mean, and it very well, because of the times and the materials and the budget and everything. And I was beyond fortunate to be able to work on the recent Swamp Thing series that the DC Universe put out, and I got to be on the actual Swamp Thing suit from concept to finishing. So
Oh wow, that's awesome.
yeah, and I was working with our art director, and he was the one like building off of these designs and stuff that we are getting, and I was helping him with the concept suit, and just like I'm just so amazed at like what we were able to do for that character, and just like finally I felt like we're able to see what Swamp Thing was supposed to look like. Like it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't corny, it wasn't like that's a guy in a suit. Like he looked real. Like he looked like he was this living, breathing plant. If you haven't seen the series, it's awesome. Unfortunately, it's canceled. There's not going to be a second season, but
Oh, spoiler alert.
yeah. You know what? They canceled that show the first week it started airing, and it's mostly like political or whatever, but it's a beautiful show. There's a lot of amazing work, not only from what we did with all of the practical effects, the makeup stuff, the suits, all of that, but also like the set design is incredible. They built a whole swamp on a soundstage. I mean, it's beautiful. They've got like boats and stuff. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so and it's a horror. It's like a hard R horror where there's some really great scares, and I felt like it was something as far as superhero shows that's not being done and hasn't really been explored. Like, yes, they're getting more into R-rated stuff, but it's usually still like funny or it's got some camp to it, and this was
Yeah.
just dark, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I have DC Universe actually. I'm one of their only subscribers. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
I know.
don't
You
know
probably
how
are
many
their
people
only
have it.
subscriber.
But I do have it. They don't have much on there actually. There's not a
No, they
lot of
don't.
content.
And it's unfortunate when they launched that streaming service, the platform was not available to PlayStation or Xbox. You had to have a Roku or a Chrome or
Okay.
like the Apple TV thing to be able to watch it. And most people stream stuff off of their smart TVs or off of, an Xbox or a PlayStation. So right
Yeah.
there, you were eliminating millions of viewers because they weren't able to get to it. Because no one's going to go out and buy a Roku or a Chrome when they don't have that to be able to watch a very limited amount of content, because it's just too new. They also didn't do any marketing, so
Yeah.
unfortunately it
Yeah.
didn't get to go anywhere. But since you have it, I would highly recommend watching it. And in the second episode, there's this great fully puppeted body that we did during an autopsy that's just awesome. Like, it's awesome.
I saw a picture of that on your Instagram, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that looks cool. I'll definitely check it out. I'll have to have a Swamp Thing party. Just
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking, Gus and I, during the pre-pod, before this.
which we're gonna start recording soon.
Yeah, the pre-pod.
Oh,
There's
okay,
good,
okay.
there's good content on that. But so we were talking about like back in the day, like, and I don't know how old you are, and I won't make any assumptions, but back in the day, there used to be like when Evel Knievel was going to do like a big jump, it was a huge deal, and like there'd be commercials for it. It'd be like live on ABC, Evel
Oh, yeah.
Knievel, and they'd make a big old thing about it. And I was thinking like, if there's so much saturation of entertainment and content out there now with all these you were mentioning like all these streaming services and all these new shows, new movies, everything. I feel like if the new Swamp Thing came out, years prior, and it was like talked about like, oh, like they're redoing Swamp Thing, like remember Swamp Thing back in the day, now it's like different, and obviously it's R, so it couldn't be on TV. But if it was coming like that and it was like promoted with commercials and it was like a big event, like it's gonna be on TV and like now's your chance to watch it, like something like that with like a full effects suit, like practical effects, like people would be really, really into it. And now it's so unfortunate,
Yeah.
like you said, like people put out this show that I'm sure costs millions of dollars. People put so much time and effort into everything, and then it's out for a little bit. They don't promote it enough, and then it dies, and it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if I truly believe that if Swamp Thing had been on either Netflix or Prime, or even if it was airing on HBO, which they're planning to do with some of the DC Universe shows, I guess they're going to like air simultaneously for the next season on HBO because they're not getting views, so they're trying to get views. But I
Right.
honestly believe that if Swamp Thing had been picked up by any of those networks or streaming services, it would be a huge hit.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
and that's the thing.
unfortunate that it found a home in a place, that wasn't really set up for what it was.
Right.
Yeah, I think they were trying some new stuff, and I mean, it always could catch new life too. That's something that's more
Yeah.
common these days than ever. It's like people could find something, and if it's great, it could grow from there and come back,
Yeah.
or who knows what.
And
Yeah.
of the people that did get to watch it, the audience and the critics reviews were just like glowing. Like people, there was such positive feedback with almost everything about that show, that it's unfortunate it didn't get seen by enough people, and it's unfortunate that it was the one put on the chopping block. But that's just kind of the way that this business goes. Unfortunately, you can't get attached to anything too much. And there are tons of times where there are pieces that I'm so excited about that I've made for a film or a TV show, and I'm watching it and waiting, and you never see it, and it ended up just never making it to the final cut, or they ended up just completely cutting that scene altogether.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, it makes me wonder what is like, what matters, or what's like, what brings you your most happiness on anything. It doesn't even have to be with your art. Like, what gives you the most joy in anything?
I think any time that I have like positively affected somebody's life and made like a moment a little more special for them, that's truly when I feel most happy.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I kind of relate to that too. It's like, I could be having a rough day, and then I go out of my way to do something nice for somebody, and it makes me feel instantly a little bit better, for sure.
Yeah, it's just like, even like if I'm in the grocery store and I just have a positive interaction with somebody else at the checkout line, and like, like we both notice some silliness going on in another register and like make a comment, like that immediately brightens my day. Like I don't know, I feel like there's so much negativity and criticism, and people are so in tune to like their own world, and everyone's walking around with AirPods in now, like nobody's really paying attention to one another. So it's nice sometimes, like being out in the world and being like, oh, people still are kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, I go to like little grocery stores, or like little like convenient places, and sometimes I walk around and think these aren't going to exist in the future. I almost get that feeling like this is old. Like walking around and, oh, there's batteries. Oh, there's boxes of cereal. Like, I feel like in the future that's not going to exist. It just feels like one of those
Yeah.
things, like a newspaper. They just go away.
Yeah.
When we're heading that direction. Yeah, but
Everyone's just wants to stay at home now and just have things delivered to them. And, like people, and even, like, I mean, even dating and stuff, it's all online now, like nobody like meets, and nobody talks to strangers anymore because you're so worried about like being stalked or murdered, or, whatever.
yeah, and there's not that many bad people. I feel like everyone stays in their home, but they don't even have people come over. Like, they're just
Yeah.
like, me, by myself, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so bizarre. I mean,
Because there's so much content and everybody's streaming on all these different things. Like,
yeah, I don't even know if it's that too, because like, my children are always, they love to be on their phone for the most part. Like, that's their, they really like that, and there's a girl 2 houses away from us, like literally, you know you could put like 12 footsteps together, and there she is, and she's in their same grade, and they don't want to like even attempt to be her friend. They're just like, no, I'm good. Like, and there's nothing wrong with the kid. Like, it could be any kid in the world, and it's just like, they don't really want to have a friend. They just, yeah.
people are shady, man.
Yeah, I guess to some extent, I still feel like humans are pretty good. I
Yeah.
just think we're like part of some weird experiment where we don't know where it's going. We're just like getting
Just
sucked
along
into
for the
these.
ride.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
yeah,
much. Yeah, I
like,
think that's cool. I know, like, Gus and I talk differently about it, but there's this idea of fate, and then the idea that random chaos is just happening, and then you live one moment to the next, and you can kind of guess what's going to happen next, but yeah, like you said, we just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. I feel like, in just anything, and maybe you guys experience this too with your own work, even that you do. It's like, if you are too forceful in an outcome, and you are too like stuck on it has to be this way, it has to be this way, you end up like running into like difficulties. Like, there are times, where I'm working on a piece, and just organically this stuff starts coming, and it's so much nicer than when I'm like forcing something.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like letting things flow out in their own way, and you almost have to practice it daily to get in that mindset of just
Hmm.
letting it flow. Yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah, I wanted to ask. We had so last week we had Mario Torres on, who does special effects as well, and he
Yes, and
does.
I was like so intimidated that you guys even wanted me to come on because I'm a nobody compared
No,
to
no,
him.
no, 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 no. I just said it a little bit ago. People are people. Like there's no, nobody's better than anybody else, especially because of what they do as a profession. But I will say it was awesome having him on. You're awesome too. You
No,
do
thanks.
amazing work. Um, but I wanted to ask him the question of so the biggest part, the biggest reason why I got interested into special effects. Not that I do it at all. But was the show Face Off.
Oh my God.
And so I wanted to get your thoughts on that show, love it or hate it, or what your experience with it has been. Do people talk to you about it and say, hey, you should be on this show, or why weren't you on this show, or what are your thoughts on that?
So personally, I hate it.
Hmm.
It is not a very highly regarded show in the industry. It's actually kind of, my opinion and a few other people's opinions. It's kind of hurt the industry a little bit, in the sense that people watch that show and see one person seemingly um, do all of this work and make all of this stuff, which they don't show in full detail. They don't show up close. They don't, doesn't have to do all of these other things. And it's made very quickly. And the way that, they shoot the show is to show the best aspects of certain things and then the worst aspects of, the lowest ones. So they also have like an entire night crew that comes in and deals with a lot of the stuff like running the pieces, like, and deals with stuff for those people on the show. So really they're not the only ones working on those pieces. But we'll get comments from production who are like, well, on Face Off they did this whole bat suit in like 2 days. What do you mean you need 6 weeks, and why would it cost that much money? And it's like, oh my God, that's like the most horrible representation of what we do.
Oh yeah, I could see it that way.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's also, it's it's weird because while I love that, that has exposed more people to this side of things, it's also kind of, I think, devalued what we do. And I think people assume that it's a lot less than what it is, and it's a lot
yeah,
easier than what it is. And it's, you know, yes, anybody can do it. 100%. Anybody can do it. You can learn a skill, you can learn a trade. I think you have to have like some kind of affinity for it. I think you need to have some kind of artistic ability. You need to have an eye for certain things. You need to have a touch for certain things. You need to have a really solid understanding of the materials you're working with. And unfortunately, Face Off doesn't necessarily portray that. It just makes it seem so easily attainable, and that one person can do all of this work in just a matter of days, and it's beautiful. And it's like, some of what I do, some of my work you're never going to see because that's the point. I erase mistakes. Like, so, and that sometimes that doesn't happen on those things, and then that's not shot, and it's just, it's frustrating. I get frustrated with that show.
Well,
I
it's
also,
not it's
it's
not on
like,
the air anymore,
yeah.
so you can.
yeah, no, and it's also like every time like somebody finds out that's what I do, they're like, oh man, have you heard of Face Off? Would you ever go on that
Yeah,
show? And it's like, oh
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah, I
it
think most
probably
people
gets
just want to
annoying. Yeah,
relate. Like, so they're like, oh, I special effects. Like, that's a keyword in my head. I relate that
Yes.
directly to Face Off, and that's
Yes.
what it is. Yeah, I
No,
noticed that
and
like they don't show stuff on there, like because I haven't done like special effects makeup, but I've done sculpting, I've done mold making, I've done casting, like
mhm.
so I know the process. And then like they make the molds, and then in the morning all of a sudden it's filled with foam, and then they
Yeah.
complain about how like there's bad seams and stuff. Like, well, it's like that was your mold and you didn't cast
Yeah.
it.
There's a bad seam because you made a crap mold because you had no other option than to make a crap mold because you had 2 hours to do it.
Right.
And of course it's not
Yeah.
going to look good. And you also don't even have time to seam it. So you're just going to have to leave those there and try and blend and paint, whatever, and do your best in a very minimal amount of time. But I mean, really, like if you were to almost, and not all of them, because there were, some very successful makeups, I'm sure. I have not watched all of the series. I've seen a season. But if you were to actually like be able to stand and look at some of these pieces, it would be like that would not be something that you could deliver to a set. That would not be able to be shot multiple ways. Like it would be like, okay, well, we could shoot it, but you have to shoot it from this one specific angle and it can't be lit at all.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which then, what's the point? And like at least where I work, my boss, he's amazing. Justin Raleigh, he's the owner of the company, and he really loves to go above and beyond for every single thing that we try to send out. And it'll even be to the point where like details are done to things that nobody will ever see except for the people that open the box when it's delivered, So
Right.
like, so that's always great, getting to be a part of something and a part of a company where like that's the standard and that's what they want.
Yeah, for sure. It goes a long way, and I think that'll probably make his company last longer and get more people excited for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just happy that that industry is not going away at all, because CGI, it felt like it was going to take over. Like in the 90s, even it felt like that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
just
Well,
yeah.
and there was a huge, downswing. For me getting into the industry, I feel like I came in at the tail end of that. And now I'm definitely in the uptick that's happening. And a big part of that is because you're right, like people thought CGI was the way to go. But now if you do something fully CG in 2 years, because of the way that the technology has changed, even on like our phones, the screens that we watch things on, our TVs, whatever,
Yeah.
in 2 years, if it's fully CG, it looks like a computer game. And like, I remember going into movie theaters, like, I always tell people, like, the first Harry Potter movie, I remember going to see that when I was younger, and I was like, wow, this looks so cool. And then, like, a few years ago, I was watching it and I was like, this looks like crap. Like, but
Yeah.
it's just, and it's not, it's just because of the technology, like, like anything that was CG, it was so smooth and shiny. And so now there is this really big, like, uptick of practical being used, and not just having lighting forms, but like having something that can be made as practically as possible, but really finessing it with the CG. So that you get like the light reflecting off of a shape or a form. And then if something needs to be cleaned up or erased or digitally enhanced, it only makes it that much better and that much more lifelike. And the actors have something to like look at and react to and emote with and like connect with. And like that totally creates like more emotion for anybody.
Right. I wonder if moving forward, if robots are, I mean, I feel like they're definitely going to hear this because they'll get to hear everything in like 1 second, and if they're going to be like, fuck you.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be mad at me about that because
The
robots
ro- the
don't
robots.
have, they're like robots, even if they can learn and like whatever, they're programmed by people. So I mean, everything that they know comes from us.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
would I would hope that they're like, yeah, right, that was true, and we're glad we get to work with humans still. That's fun.
Yes, yes. Thank you for not killing us, robot overlords.
Right, like, they're just, they're happy. They're like, you guys made us, and we're thankful. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully they won't listen to stuff and goes like, add it to the reasons why they're done.
No, they'll listen to your Mario Torres episode and decide that I'm not anybody worth listening to.
Oh no, you can't. You can't do that. You can't say that.
Not allowed. We
Well,
don't
it's
allow that.
kind of like, and I probably talked about this a lot, but I feel like as people, as especially as artists, as creators, and you can go to anybody. It's like we are what we say we are. Like it's like we set our own values constantly, and it's just a strange thing. Like I started off on garbage, painting on garbage, and selling my work for $2, and it's like because that's what I felt like I was at. I'm the same person, and I feel like it's, with where you go, like in 20 years from now, you might become a massive in some area that you want to become, massive in, and then you'll look back at this and go, yeah, I just grown a long way, and you never know.
No, and I already kind of feel that, like, sometimes where I've got, like, even where I've come in the past, 5 years from, it's like, so I feel so incredibly accomplished for where I'm at now, and where I've been able to work and the people I've been able to work with, but I don't ever really feel like I feel like I would be happiest if I was known for, like, being able to make some of my own stuff, like you, Gus. Like, people have this love for this style that you have and these pieces that you've created, and like, I'm just kind of making other people's things, and I don't really get to make decisions. I get notes, and I can kind of take some creative liberties with certain things, but it would be cool if, for my own personal career, if I was, like, known for stuff that I was doing that was my stuff, not somebody else's idea.
Right. Well, if I have a cult, will you join the cult?
I mean, what are the benefits?
Well, I'm working on the details, but I'm thinking, like, what would it take to join? I just think it's such a big jump. So what would it take to join my cult? Like, it's brand new, it's fresh. Like,
Okay.
You're the first person to hear about it.
Is there a boat?
In the cult? Yeah, it's not on water. There's a boat, but it's just not. It's not on
land
water.
boat. It's a land boat.
It's a land boat. We can get it. I always talk about we're going to take it on the water.
Well, are there dune buggies?
I'm definitely getting some dune buggies built. I need Jeff to get on that. He's good with the dune buggies.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I was gonna make water dune buggies that go in the water.
Cool.
Perfect.
You got
See?
the land boat and the water buggies.
I mean, so long as I don't have to wear, like, a ridiculous outfit, I don't have to agree to drink random punches, and my diet isn't restricted, then I'll probably be pretty good.
Okay, I think there definitely won't be any weird poisons or punches.
Okay.
Diet is open. I'm not. I mean, we're not sure where that's going. I'm thinking maybe no meat, just to have something, just to have a
Or
little
just
layer.
grass. Just grasses.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I wouldn't want to join a cult where you just have to eat grass.
But a variety.
I told him not to say that. The grass thing is not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
That's where we lose everyone.
Well,
Yeah, I could imagine that's where you'd lose a lot of people. You probably do well with, like, cows and goats, though.
Well, there's probably, I think, 6 or 7 now, cows and goats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we had cows and goats there that we could, like, get milk from and stuff, I think that would make sense. We're just not gonna kill the goats.
No.
We're just gonna use their cheeses and stuff.
And just hang out with them.
Yeah, like you pet the goat.
Yeah, that's cool. I could be down for that. But again, like, I don't want to just eat grass.
No, the grass thing's not gonna happen. And if Jeff brings that up again,
I was pushing for it.
But yeah, I think weird outfits might be a thing. That's the one thing we might have to have is some kind of interesting outfit.
Well, isn't it like you were talking about everybody was gonna dress like crisscross, right? Like you wanted everybody to have jeans on backwards and shirts on backwards. I think that's what you're saying, right?
We're working out the design. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe when it's not in such a beta phase.
Well, here's the thing, though. The promise we're giving you is that you're going to get to do your, the Carley Cooper way. The Carley Cooper brand is going to happen. That's one of the focuses coming into this poll.
Well, then I'm in.
Okay. All right. See, then we got you.
There's one. There's one.
Go.
What about the 6 other goats and cows?
Well, they're coming. They exist. They exist. We know where they are. They're just not.
Okay.
Yeah, they exist. We get their milk already. We got to transport them here.
I gotcha. It's a logistics nightmare.
It is, and Henry the Goat's doing fine where he's at. So no, but that's cool. I mean, I'm sorry to go off topic. I just like to kind of
Bring up
explore
your
and
cult.
play. Got to see if people are going to join. You know,
Well, yeah,
I've been thinking
how
about
would
it.
you know if you didn't ask? What was the worst thing that was going to happen? I say no.
Yeah, you go, you
Yeah.
egotistical son of a bitch, you cult.
I think it's fairly easy to get people into cults though, because people do go into cults.
All the time.
Do
Yeah,
they?
so-
Yeah, they do, but like you never hear about it. There's not that many going on right now, I feel like.
Jared Leto just started a cult.
Oh, he did?
Yep, where you could hang out with 30 Seconds to Mars if you pledge all of your money.
What?
Yeah, look it up. I don't know the full details, but I do know that he did try and start a cult recently.
What is his
Wow.
connection to 30 Seconds with Mars? Jared
he's
Leto, the
guy.
actor.
He's
Yeah,
the guy.
He's the guy.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
Yes, that's how he became an actor.
Wait, so
Yeah.
Jared Leto, the Joker. The same.
No,
Ex-Joker.
not the
Ex-Joker.
Joker. Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker.
A-
Jared Leto's Joker is the most horrendous offense of a Joker that I've ever come across or seen. Or, like, just they completely changed his entire character's like moral compass as the Joker. The fact that he had all these flashy cars and fancy clothes, and like the Joker doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about name brands. He doesn't care about designers. Like, oh my god, it made me so mad. I hated that Joker.
Carley, you gotta focus. This is what kids want. This is what kids are going. It's Eminem. It's Marilyn Manson.
What is this? 98? Was it? So was it for you? Was it because he didn't match the comic book personality? Was that the biggest thing? Like if you watched it without knowing comic book stuff, like just from entertainment value, you'd still be annoyed at the character.
Because the thing is I'll be totally honest with you. I've never read a comic book ever. I think maybe Captain Underpants, but I don't think that counts because that's like a graphic novel. So.
It counts. Isn't there a comic in that comic?
Yes, but I think that's why it's considered a graphic novel and not a comic book.
Yeah, I'm counting it as a comic. I'm
Okay,
getting one on that.
fair enough.
You worked on Aquaman, didn't you?
Huh?
You worked on Aquaman?
Yes, I did, and I also worked on the most recent Joker movie.
And
Nice.
Swamp Thing was a comic as well, right?
Yeah.
Swamp Thing, it was a comic. I've worked on tons of comic books things. I have not read them. I also found out when I was in high school that Spider-Man had a girlfriend named Carley Cooper. And a friend of mine bought me the first issue of that, which I have still in the lamination, never been opened.
Wait.
That's
Maybe you are a comic book character, and that's why you never read one. Because a comic book character wouldn't read a comic book, right?
Oh my God, my mind has been blown.
You're
That explains so much.
right. How about Jeff's Joker is I can't even think of his name.
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. That's Jeff's main Joker.
That was the only thing I could think of that he was in. I know he was in other stuff.
He was in that Dallas Buyers Club movie.
Right. He lost a lot of weight for that, right?
Yeah, too much weight.
Yeah. So he's the guy from 30 Seconds to Mars. Like what?
Yep.
Yeah. He's the lead singer. He's the guy. Like he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's done it all.
So he was
won
so his fault
Oscars.
is he wants people to he'll let you meet the band if you give him a bunch of money.
I don't know exactly what the parameters are, but I do know that part of being in that cult is you have to pledge a certain amount of money, and it's like thousands of dollars.
Oh, but he's not calling it a cult. No, nobody in a cult calls it a cult, right?
I'm calling mine a cult.
He just says do this thing, and then people are like, "Hey, that sounds culty."
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, because I think he's like a really fierce vegan as well. I think, isn't he? Isn't he like
he is.
super animal rights? Didn't he? I thought he like gave a speech at like the Grammys or something, or not that maybe the Grammys. Yeah, because I guess he's in a band. So, but
I mean, he could have whatever. He ruined the Joker.
Is he gonna be in Birds of Prey? That's the new Harley Quinn movie coming out.
I have no idea, and I'm also deeply upset with what has been done to Harley Quinn. I love Margot Robbie. I think she's a fantastic casting for that part.
Yeah.
But I also like Harley Quinn is one of my favorite like female villain characters because there's like so much depth to that character where, she's this brilliant doctor, like psychologist, and she ends up falling in love with the Joker and kind of, that's why how she becomes crazy, and whatever. And I feel like what they did to her in Suicide Squad is just made her the tits and ass, and they completely changed her look. And I've never seen them like drastically change the look of a superhero character so much. Like she wasn't even her regular colors. Like she's black and red, and I don't know why she's got to be pink and blue because it's cuter. Like who gives a shit? Like she's Harley Quinn. Let her be who she is. Don't make her be in these doofy outfits that have her butt cheeks hanging out because that sells tickets. Because that character would sell tickets if you let her be what she was.
Yeah, it seems like they went over the top on everything, just like you said, to be different and sell tickets. But I remember her from
it was basically like one super long music video. I mean, for Suicide Squad, like when you watched it, there are so many on the nose music cues that just drove me nuts. And it was like every 2 minutes there was another song explaining some weird montage, and it's just like, ugh.
Well, yeah, they kind of put the soundtrack kind of thing that hasn't been done in a long time, like. Soundtracks used to be a huge thing of like movies in the 80s and 90s, and you'd buy the soundtrack. And I think Suicide Squad's, they had a huge soundtrack sales. I think probably more than most movies.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is they didn't pick terrible songs, but it's just like, I don't know. It was literally just a super long music video where someone was like, hey, let's do a comic book themed, but we don't need to be real or true to any of the actual comic book stuff. So screw all those fans. Who gives a crap?
No, I'd say a counter argument. I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy was also a soundtrack movie.
Oh yeah,
but it was really, really good.
Great.
Right. So a soundtrack movie can be good. A comic book soundtrack movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you don't screw up the characters.
I like both of those movies actually. Funny enough, like I was a fan of both, and I mean I don't think they're the greatest movies ever, but I feel like there's not many good movies out anymore. Like. Maybe 2 movies a year I get really excited about seeing in theaters.
Well, so what were you excited about last year then?
Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep
okay.
I was excited about. Just because I'm a huge Shining fan. That's my favorite movie of all time. And then I can't even think of what else I was actually really excited about. I don't remember. Oh, The Joker. I was excited for that.
Did you like that?
Yeah, and what all did you do on the Joker?
So I got to do a live cast on Joaquin Phoenix. So he came in, and he's lovely. And I did the clown like bald cap that he wears when he is the clown, that neon green hair thing. I did all the hair work on those.
Oh wow, sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it must feel cool to be on like. It was extremely successful. I think people were really, really happy with how that turned out and how different it was.
It's really cool getting to have a piece of yours on like promo stuff.
Right.
The first time I got to experience that was with Swamp Thing on a lot of the promotional posters and images put out. It was Swamp Thing coming out of the swamp holding a skeleton, and I got to make that skeleton that he was holding. And
nice.
That's
and
cool.
It's really cool. There's a lot of coverage on it when you get to see it in the show, and there were a lot of pieces that I got to work on, but like I was told, hey, you're making this skeleton. Here's the general idea. Here's the images from the comic book art. So go for it. So like that was really gratifying, getting to like drive by the Warner Brothers studio and seeing the huge billboard and seeing this like massive Swamp Thing with my skeleton on it. And then seeing the Joker when all that promo stuff started coming out, and it was just him wearing this wig everywhere, and I was like, oh cool, I got to make that.
You're like, I touched that thing in that picture.
I don't think you realize, like, you're forever legit, Carly. Wherever you go, like, people are like, what do you do? You just go, I worked on the Joker movie, the Joaquin Phoenix. Like, you just have to say that, and it's like, I feel like
I
it's
feel
going to
like that
be your
sounds
foot
so
in.
douchey.
No, well, no, I mean, you're just trying to let people know what you did, and that's what you did, and everybody knows that movie now. Like, you unless you're like 97, and you
Yeah, that's
maybe
true. That's
you
true.
you still might know it. You might go, I've seen the commercials on Jeopardy on Jeopardy. I wonder if they advertised that on Jeopardy, if they did a campaign. But yeah, you're forever legit. Like, I feel like any interview you ever go into, you just have to open up your portfolio or just say it and be like, it could just be those two you just mentioned: Swamp Thing, Joker. Boom.
Yeah,
But
which is super cool. And I'm like, sometimes I kind of pinch myself. There are days that I'm just like, is this my life? How is this my life? How is this my job? Like, why do I get to do all of this? But then there are other days where I'm like, why did I choose this path?
yeah. Well, what else? What would you have wanted to do more so, or was there something? Was there a dream before that was bigger or different?
No, honestly, like this is always what I've wanted to do. And growing up, I was obsessed with movies. Or I love old movies. Like one of my favorite movies is from the 30s. But like the first time I ever watched The Creature from the Black Lagoon, I was just like, oh, that's crazy. Like that's somebody's job is to make that stuff and like look
Yeah.
how good that looks. And that was like so long ago. Like and then I started getting into more like 80s stuff and all the bladder craze of the 80s where like every effect had these bladders in it that would make things bubble or whatever. And like,
Right.
so it's just, I had always wanted to do that. And growing up in Virginia in, a family where my parents are both successful, they went to college, they both worked really, really hard to be able to be in a position where me and my sister, could not have to pay for our own college. Like we could afford, for them to send us to school and stuff. And telling your family, yeah, I want to go to art school it's not always like so well received. And
Right.
so, I kind of was funneled in different ways and trying to find career paths that made sense for where I was living. But I was always still trying to get into movie stuff. And I was, when I was in Virginia, I was working on these really, really super low budget B movies, which those are on my IMDb page that spelled correctly my name. But
Right.
like
You were, yeah, you acted, right? You were an actress, right?
I acted in them, but I also got to do the straight makeup. So I wasn't doing the practical effects. That was done by another couple of people who now have a company out here in Los Angeles, and they're doing very well. But I
Oh,
got to
wow.
do like the beauty makeup because I was going to cosmetology school and I was doing all of that and I was like working on weddings, whatever. And it was like, I want to do makeup. Like, this is what I want to do. So I started responding to different like job postings for, local film projects, really low budget. And I found my way into this kind of family of a film crew that was making all of these really silly, low budget, like real fun gag horror movies. And I got to have really small parts in those as well because it was kind of like just this team effort of making a movie. It was just like, all right, everybody show up at this time. Nobody's getting paid. It was like those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
um, I realized, after kind of being forced to go to school for a while and just like wasting time, my first major in college was fine arts. Then I switched to psychology. Then I switched to paralegal. And, like it was just, I wasn't finding what I wanted. I was just looking for ways to like make money. And then I, got the opportunity. I came out to California by myself and went to makeup designery school where I learned the basics for like effects work and character makeup and how to do a couple things. And then I got my first internship and, it was one of those things that I really had to go for, but it was hard because it was always a dream of mine. I mean, I honestly couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I tried multiple things and I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. Like I always had this like burning in the back of my mind of like, I could be doing this. Like somebody's job is that. That could be me. I could easily get that job. Why don't I get that job? And I feel like a big part of it just was because my family was so afraid for me. They didn't want me to be some struggling, starving artist, which, I still am. But like, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think that's more important. You're younger, you're happy, you're finding your passion, and I think the rest will fall into place.
Yeah. And I've been really fortunate, the people that I've gotten to work with, and I've been so lucky at the company that I'm at, how much they let me grow and how I'm not stuck in like this one department. Like I do a lot of, yes, I do like all the life casts and stuff at the shop, but I also do a lot of hair work, where I put eyebrows and eyelashes and hair on bodies or on appliances or whatever. I do a lot of silicone fabrication where I make like realistic surgery gags, or, I make fake hands or heads that can be stabbed, or, like whatever. So I get to do the patchwork or the seaming sometimes, which that's like really therapeutic at times. And like they let me bounce around a lot. I've gotten to paint more, and they're really supportive of furthering your education and taking more classes. And I recently took a class to learn how to paint with that paint that actually lights up, and you don't need lights. It's just paint that lights itself. So like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's crazy. And like, I'm really lucky to be where I am and to have found kind of the family of people that I work with all the time. So I know that's not true for everybody. And there is a part of me that's like scared because I don't bounce around the same that a lot of people in the industry bounce around shop to shop, project to project. I'm kind of like, I have a home. But that's scary because, if that goes away, I just have a list of contacts of people that I could reach out to and potentially maybe get in another shop,
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but I think you'll be able to. I think worst case you'll be able to find your way. I think it'll be up to you more than anything. If you feel that, yeah.
I'm driven, and I get real motivated, and sometimes it takes a bit of a kick in the ass for me to like do something. So but it's just like, that's kind of scary, like, and that's why I wish I had my own thing that like I could be like, okay, well, even if this movie stuff, which is a dream of mine that I've always wanted to do and work on, even if maybe like I wasn't working for a couple months, okay, well, I can go back to like selling these things or making these things. And I'm trying to find more time to do that.
Yeah.
There are a couple things on my Instagram page that I posted, like body chains and like jewelry and crystal growing and stuff that I do, and weird little paintings and stuff that I do. But it's really hard to find the time to do that when you work such long hours, or when you're just exhausted because, there's no air conditioning in the building that I work in. It's like a big warehouse with like these big bay doors. So in the summer it's hot, in the winter it's freezing. And when you get home, the last thing you want to do is go sit out in the garage and work some more in the heat or the cold. You just kind of want to like go inside and chill out. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing my own thing for so long. Like I never know where my next dollar is going to be. And I think so. I think there's an advantage to both positions, where it's like I sometimes get envious of like an actual job kind of thing, But at the same time, it's been so long for me that I don't think I'm employable, But
yeah, one thing
You'd
we
be
talk
like
about
a greeter at Walmart.
True. I would make it wacky. I would like give a
you could get people to join your cult pretty quick as they walk in the door. Hi, here's my card. Join my cult. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I might do. That's a good idea.
That's the best way to do it. But yeah, we talk a lot about kind of like it seems like people that follow their passion and are driven and have, a good work ethic, have the patience, you usually tend to find your own way. And Gus might call that fate. I call it that's what happens when you work hard. But there's like this thing of you're following your passion, and so like life has a way of working things out for you, if that makes sense, as long as you're a hard worker. So sometimes it can be scary, but it seems like the biggest step you've already taken, that was kind of deciding that I'm going to get away from trying to get some degree in something that I'm not going to have a passion and go and
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah, and I try to be positive in any situation, and I try to be diplomatic, and I try to work with people even if I'm not like thrilled to be working with that person. So I feel like I would be okay, but it's just like a scary thing, when I work with people that just have like all these different shops that are constantly calling them because they bounce around so much. And I'll get like calls every once in a while to come in over a weekend or at night, or if they're asking if I'm available. But, that's far and few between because I'm busy all the time.
Yeah. Well, at least you're still getting some calls like that, and
Yeah.
if you're allowed to do them, that makes it even better. That you could.
Yeah, and where I'm at now, they're so supportive, and like if we weren't busy, then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, go take work and let me know when you're done, whatever. If something comes up, I'll call you and come back." So, or they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it's not, they don't get upset about that, and it's not like, "Oh, that's a competing shop." It's like, no, like you're technically a contractor, like an independent contractor. You got to make money, so get at it.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a cool field for that reason. It seems like it's, talking to you and talking to Mario and about how it just seems interesting how all these studios and they kind of all know each other and get hired on these different gigs and so many legit gigs. It just seems really exciting.
Yeah, and it's really fun, especially like going on set and like running into people that you've worked with before on other things, and remembering like this, like being in the trenches with somebody on something and be like, oh man, this set's gonna be a cakewalk, and it's like it's always fun bumping into people, and then you meet other people, and then like like it's a fun job where you're not stuck in a cubicle all day long, or you're not like going to mind-numbing meetings all day, or you don't have to just respond to emails. Like I get to do a lot, and I get to be up and about, and like every day is a little bit different.
Yeah, it makes it exciting and fresh.
Yeah, like they say too, the grass is always greener, and if you want to eat lots
as long as
of
you're
grass,
eating it,
join Gus's cult.
I'm not doing the grass thing.
1-888 Gus Fink. Call now. We're taking membership. This is the membership drive. I think we're coming into about an hour here, and so might be wrapping things up a little bit.
Okay.
It was awesome, like learning about everything you do. I wish we could talk more.
Oh yeah, anytime.
All kinds of stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on and giving insights into all the awesome projects you're working on and all the stuff you're going to do in the future. And I know that you're going to look back, and Gus mentioned it, and say, oh yeah, that was that little tiny podcast I was on, and now I'm a big giant star, and I have my own studio, and I'm doing whatever I want. And so
no, I mean, I really appreciate you guys even asking me to be a guest on this. Like you're both exceptionally talented. Like so, I always feel like a complete honor anytime where I look at somebody. I'm like, wow, they're talented. If they feel that I have even just like the teeniest bit of ability or whatever. So I really do appreciate you guys asking me to be on this. And I'm honestly having a blast talking to you.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I feel like we could have a 3-hour show and do
hey,
something
let's
to talk
it.
about. It's been great. And this kind of brings me a lot of joy. Like I'm always just by myself creating. So I love doing this.
Yeah. It's always awesome talking to people and getting their insights, especially creative people. Yeah. So thanks for coming on. It was awesome, talking to you. And hopefully we can have you back on and find out all the other new stuff you're working on.
Oh, yeah, totally. And also, I told Gus about this, but if you want, because I know on Mario, on his episode, you guys talked about a ghost story. I actually have a really good personal ghost experience story if you want to hear it.
Definitely.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And since you did listen, I'm a skeptic, so I'm listening for details.
No, okay. And believe me, I get it. So I was living in this house in North Carolina, in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And it was this little 3-bedroom house that was kind of like set up like a double wide trailer where the living room would look down this hallway that just had the bedrooms right off of it. And I was with my ex, currently my ex, but like a guy at the time. And our room was at the very end of the hallway. And across from that room was a guest room, which there was no furniture in that because we didn't have any money and we, didn't have anything to furnish all of these rooms. So on multiple occasions, we would have, people come over, spend the night, like have parties, whatever. One night, one of my ex's friends had been sleeping in the living room, and he woke up at like 3-ish in the morning, he said, and he looked down the hallway and he saw a woman walk from the guest room into our room, which our door was closed. So he was like, what? We didn't tell anybody about it. We didn't say anything to anybody about it. We were like, okay, that's weird, whatever. Months later, a separate person spent the night. Didn't know this other person, never met that other person. They said they saw the exact same thing. They woke up around 3-something and they saw a woman walk out of the guest room into our room. So I was like, that's weird, whatever. I'd always felt a little bit uncomfortable in the house, but it was just kind of like a weird house. It was a weird neighborhood. Then one night I was by myself and I was sitting in the living room. We were getting a new couch delivered, so we had just got rid of a bunch of the furniture that was in the living room. And I'm sitting in a lawn chair by myself and I'm like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom. So I get up to walk down the hallway and the lights were off in the hallway. So I turn the light on and this huge black shadow came out of my room, shot up into the light in the hallway, and the light exploded, like shattered glass everywhere. I felt this immense pressure on my chest, like anytime I'd start to walk down the hallway, like somebody was stopping me and pushing me. And I just went and sat in that lawn chair, frozen, just terrified while I was waiting for my ex to come home. And I was like, when are you getting back? When are you going to be here? And he was like, you're making this up. This is crazy. I was like, no, I'm serious. Please come home. And when he got home, he was like, what did you do to the light bulb? And I was like, I told you, it just exploded. It shattered. So since then, yes, I totally believe in ghosts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, especially the craziest part was the fact that 2 other people had said they saw something and they didn't know one another, and we never told anybody about that, and we certainly didn't tell people who were spending the night, oh, by the way, there might be a ghost, keep an eye out, that sounds nuts. So it's just that was weird. And then when that happened, I was like, ooh, I don't like this house. I don't like being in here by myself.
So we just got breaking news. Now ghosts are 100% real. Jeff is no longer you're no longer a skeptic. I mean, what more do you need, Jeff? That's pretty good.
Definitive proof.
So,
That's what it would take for me to join your cult. You have to admit that ghosts are real.
Yeah, Jeff's not getting in. You're just pushing the grass constantly.
I would come to the same conclusion. 2 ghost stories, and then a light bulb explodes. And was this when you were younger or you were older?
I was 22.
So did Google exist?
Yeah, Google existed.
Did you ever Google reasons why a light bulb might explode besides ghosts?
Nope.
Because you thought it was a ghost, right?
No, she saw the energy.
Right.
She saw the energy.
Yeah. So I 100% believe that this light bulb exploded.
Uh-huh.
And there's electrical reasons why light bulbs explode.
But wait, let me ask you
those
this,
could be one of them.
If there were an electrical reason why that light bulb exploded, why would that socket still work? And why would that light bulb, the next one, not explode?
Yeah.
I think it's the light bulb malfunctions.
I don't know.
It was a regular light bulb. It had been used, for a while before. It wasn't a brand new light bulb. It was just a regular light bulb.
And Jeff, did you not hear the part where she said she saw a shadow come towards it, and you forgot about that part, Jeff?
Up into the light.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that could have been.
Because it was dark out, so where could there have? It's not like it was sunny and windows and maybe a car driving by cast a shadow. No, it was dark. I turned on a light and a big shadow came from the door.
You turn on the light, right? And then you looked right into the light, and then you got a big black spot.
I looked down the hallway because now there's light for me to be able to see down the hallway.
See, we're just planting seeds in you, Jeff. You're slowly. It's gonna grow. It's gonna grow.
It's gonna grow into the greenest grass.
But the ghost lady must have been mad or wanted your attention? Why would
Well,
the
what's
ghost
weird
lady do
is
it?
that the moment that my ex came in the house, all of that negative energy was gone. And there were multiple times where, like, when I was by myself, I felt really, really uncomfortable, or I would hear like kind of tapping noises or whatever. But it's like, oh, it could be a tree, it could be pipes, whatever. But when he was around, it was fine. So I almost feel like it was a lady ghost that didn't like that I was with him.
Yeah,
Or
probably.
you felt safer when he was there, potentially.
No,
Oh
because,
God.
oh no, not at all.
You have anxiety alone because there's a ghost in the house, obviously, and then somebody else is there, and now you're not as anxious because
No, that was a terrible relationship. I was much happier when he wasn't there.
you would have preferred the ghost shattering light bulbs.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, obviously, I just play devil's advocate. I don't know if ghosts exist.
So
They
you
could.
believe in the devil, but you don't believe in ghosts?
I don't believe in the devil's advocate. Okay, I see.
There you go. See, devil worshiper.
Well, that was. I always tell guys I used to watch the show Sightings back in the day.
Hmm.
Do you remember that show from the 90s?
Hmm.
And they used to scare the crap out of me. Like they would like have these really spooky ghost stories, like where they're like, and then like I sat in my chair and like I looked out the window and there was like a dead lady and like it was really spooky, especially because I believed everything that it was real. Well, as a kid, you believe everything that's on TV is real anyway.
So what
But
happened that made you disbelieve in ghosts?
Yes.
I learned how the world worked and how science works. That's my. I'm a skeptic because I don't believe in ghosts because I don't have any evidence in my life to prove that they do exist. That's just me. I just don't have.
But I feel like if you had evidence happen to you, you'd still be kind of skeptical. I think you would still be looking for explanations of why that situation happened.
I
That's what I
would.
think would happen. Yeah. See.
I would. No, I'm
Yeah.
telling if so. But so yeah, like if I saw a ghost, then I would think to myself, what am I seeing and why am I seeing this? Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And you would probably be like, oh, this is Gus playing a prank on me, or
Yeah.
Carly just trying to get me to believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
Could be. Could
We
be.
should we should do that eventually. Like in 5 years from now, we should like do this high budget special effects.
Oh, yes, definitely. I got some
No,
great ideas, Gus. You can send me a message or we'll have a private phone call. Jeff
Yeah,
doesn't need to know about any of
I've
this,
seen
and
those
we'll
shows.
get him.
Those
next cult
shows are
meeting.
creepy. But
Next cult meeting. That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, yeah.
the next
The
cult
first thing
meeting.
on the docket, on the agenda, will be the Jeff ghost prank.
Oh, if I'm not joining the cult if there's an agenda. I'm not into agendas. I'm very anti-agenda, so count me out. I'll eat all the grass all day long, but as soon as there's an agenda.
We
Well,
have
no,
a plan.
that was a good ghost story. We're just gonna be racking up ghost stories until I believe. So
Okay, well, you know what? Then you'll have some good ghost stories.
We appreciate that. It's like a fun little bonus. Like when the news is really, not that anything else was boring, but it's like an extra nice treat. It's like
No, everyone's just going to fast forward to the end when they hear there's a
God.
ghost story. They're like, yeah, screw this nonsense.
No, I enjoyed the whole thing. I think it was great, and
Yeah,
just seeing
so
your
I
process.
I really appreciated this. Anytime you guys want to chat again, let me know. Reach out. We're all friends now.
Awesome, absolutely, yeah. It feels like you're definitely a friend. Appreciate it.
yeah, awesome. Well, it's great talking to you, and hopefully you can be on the next one.
Yeah. Oh, wait, can I plug my Instagram real quick?
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Okay, it's just Carley Does Makeup, and it's Carley Does Makeup. That's a big part of why I have a few IMDb pages, is because people spell my first name and my last name incorrectly, and when it gets put online, because I don't update anything, it just goes to random pages.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and anything else going on that you want to plug?
No, that's it. Honestly, I mean, I don't have it like. I only post stuff on my Instagram, and everybody can check out the work that I do, or what's going on and what I've got coming up, and see all of those fun time lapse of the life cast, so they can see what a life cast is and how it actually happens. And people are always asking, how long did that take? How long did that take? In every single one of my videos, there is a clock in the background, so you can see.
They gotta pay attention.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well,
Everybody go to Carly's Instagram, check out the videos. Don't ask her how long it takes.
Sweet. Or have a great night, Carly.
Thanks, you guys too. Bye.